LTI and Mindtree. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then zero on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. K. Mahesh from L&T Group. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you on the call. Today we have on the call Mr. Debashish Chatterjee, CEO and Managing Director of Mindtree, Mr. Sudhir Chaturvedi, President and Executive Board Member of LTI, Mr. Venu Lambu, Executive Director and President, Global Markets of Mindtree, Mr. Nachiket Deshpande, Director and Chief Operating Officer of LTI, Mr. Vineet Teredesai, CFO of Mindtree, and Mr. Anil Ranber, CFO of LTI. Before we begin, I would like to remind you that some of the comments made on today's call and some of the responses to your questions may contain forward-looking statements. These statements are considering the environment as we see it today and are subject to the risks and uncertainties as described in our company releases. We do not undertake to update those statements periodically. With that, I now invite Mr. Debashish Chatterjee on the call. Over to you, DC.
Thank you, Mahesh. Good evening and good morning to everyone on the call. Thank you for joining us on a short notice. Today is an important day for LTI and Mindtree, two of the world's most successful digital transformation companies with a rich history of innovation and impact. The two companies have today announced a big leap forward in accelerating their growth story. The respective boards of LTI and Mindtree in their meetings today have approved the proposal to merge Mindtree into LTI through a scheme of amalgamation. Through this transformative combination, we are bringing together two outperformers, both of whom have delivered market-leading growth and profitability and are now uniquely positioned to unlock even greater value by becoming a combined at-scale player. The rationale for the transaction revolves around several pillars. First, scale. This transaction significantly enhances our scale and competitiveness vis-a-vis large players. It improves our ability to win larger contracts and higher market share, propelling us to the position of the fifth most valuable IT services player in India today. Second, complementary vertical offerings. This merger will lead to the creation of three large industry verticals: manufacturing CRP together, as well as high-tech of over $750 million each, and BFSI of over $1 billion. Third, a well-diversified and expanded service offerings portfolio. This will provide an edge over competition while bidding for larger contracts. It will also aid better pricing of contracts and further delivery improvements. Fourth, significant cross-selling opportunities. There are very few common clients between the two entities. The combined client base will be more than 750. Both the companies currently work with multiple Fortune 500 clients. It is expected that more than 30 to 40% of the future opportunities will be partnership-led, involving either hyperscalers or other partners. This business combination will enable us to tap into these opportunities. Fifth, access to a higher cash pool. This will help us fill in white spaces and build IP, including through M&As. The consolidation of delivery centers, integration and automation of systems, and reduction in G&A will lead to significant benefits. Sixth, better access to a wider, more diverse talent pool. The combined headcount will be more than 80,000, We will be able to hire from a wider pool of diverse talent and achieve better pyramid rationalization, utilization, as well as balance between billable versus sales and support functions. Various employee engagement programs will also be undertaken during this integration period. Lastly, better geographical coverage. The merger will help us add a few countries to our footprint and rationalize our exposure in countries where both companies are present today. Let me now turn it over to Sudhir Chaturvedi. Over to you, Sudhir.
Thank you, DC. Good morning and good evening, everyone. As DC said, we are very excited about today's announcement. We've been highly successful as individual companies and are now raring to shape a bigger, bolder future as a combined entity. Winning in digital transformation and increasing the share of large deals is increasingly about building best-of-breed cross-vertical expertise and end-to-end execution capabilities, tapping into global digital talent, expanding hyperscaler alliances, and creating IP in technology. By coming together, the two highly successful, client-centric, transformation-first companies with complementary businesses and revenue synergies will accomplish all this and more, while also building significant financial scale. On a combined basis for FY22, the two companies generated $3.5 billion of revenue and $530 million of PAT, while holding $991 million in cash and investments as of March 2022. This transaction is subject to all necessary regulatory approvals, including the stock exchanges, NCLT, and the shareholders and creditors of LTI and Mindtree. The merger process is expected to be completed in 9 to 12 months, and the amalgamated entity will be named as LTI Mindtree Limited. Upon obtaining all the required approvals, shareholders of Mindtree will receive 73 shares of LTI for every 100 shares of Mindtree. The swap ratio for the merger is based on the due diligence, valuation report, and fairness reports for both the companies, which was conducted by leading independent advisors. The details are available in the investor deck on our website. Till the NCLT process is completed, both companies will function on a business-as-usual basis. The boards have approved the formation of a steering committee to oversee the merger process. The integration plan and further details will be communicated over time. We expect the transaction to benefit all stakeholders, employees, customers, financial and non-financial creditors, as well as equity holders. Needless to say, we will ensure that all necessary compliances will be met throughout the merger process. We are confident that this strategic move will enable the two companies to further build upon their spectacular growth journey and lead to industry-leading performance. Over to you, Mahesh.
Thank you very much, DC. Thank you very much, Sudhir. We will now take questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who would like to ask a question, please press star and 1 at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Sandeep Agarwal from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, and congrats on that.
Sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Agarwal. You're not clearly audible. I would request you to come on the handset mode and come closer to the phone.
Yeah, I am on the handset mode. I hope you are able to hear me now.
Your voice is fluctuating, but you may go ahead.
Yeah. So, hi, congrats on the merger, DC. I just wanted to know one question that, in the current scenario where, there is so much of turmoil because of attrition, do you think that, this merger will enable us in some way to retain the key talent, or there will be a huge amount of attrition which you foresee?
Well, Sandeep, let's just understand what has happened. The boards of the respective companies have approved the merger process, but over the several months till we get the regulatory approvals, both the companies will pretty much function with their respective independence, working towards the growth agenda that they have. And I don't think, and it's kind of a BAU till that point of time. So it's an intent that we have announced, and I think given the fact that the demand scenario is so robust, given the fact that there is a need for end-to-end capability, especially in most of the client scenarios where they're trying to lead their transformation through digital, I think there will be more and more opportunities for employees on both the sides. So I think over a period of time, this will still continue to operate the way they are, and we have enough measures within the organizations to manage attrition the way we do, and that will continue. But I don't see any specific reason why we have to think of attrition. It will be more exciting for people as we talk, as we go along. So do you want to add anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, DC, just one point that, there is very little overlap between the two companies, and there's a lot of complementarity between our verticals and our service offerings. So actually, everyone will get a bigger playing field, in a sense, and a lot more exciting opportunities, as you said.
Thank you, and congrats for this.
Thanks, Sandeep.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sudhir Gundupalli from Kotak Mahindra AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi, DC. Sudhir, thanks for giving me the opportunity. Just an extension of what Sandeep was asking. So we do understand that it may take some time for the merger to happen, and till then it is business as usual. But whenever there is an uncertainty at a philosophical level, people tend to reduce that uncertainty in their lives. And given the supply situation outside, most likely that they'll get 4 other offers from companies where there is no corporate action impending. So from that standpoint, it is natural to expect attrition to spike whenever it happens or in anticipation of that happening. So do we have any, let's say, new ESOP plans? Are we thinking of any new ESOP plans or some retention-related sweeteners to sales employees, rank and title holders, and delivery employees?
Well, as we, as Sudhir highlighted, there is a steering committee that we have already formed, which will be chaired by our chairman and our vice chairman, and all the executive directors will be part of the steering committee, and we'll oversee the the overall integration, the merger process, as well as the looking at the integration plan. So some of the things that you just now described will definitely evolve as we go along. But as I said, that there are enough opportunities that we have already created in terms of enough avenues for retention that we have already created at individual respective levels, and that should continue. But if there is something more that we need to do, of course it will be done.
Thanks, DC. And in terms of the cost synergies, right, you spoke about some actions like reduction in duplication of offices in some overseas geographies, so on and so forth. I know that these are still early days, but any target that you have in mind in terms of what is the quantum of cost rationalization we are looking forward to?
Yeah, so Sudhir, let me put it this way. Both these companies have been working independently, but on case-by-case basis, we have also been working together in specific opportunities. Some of these opportunities are large opportunities where we felt we should work together, and some of these opportunities are where clients actually insisted and suggested that we should come and work together. So we already have a very good understanding of each other from a working the framework in terms of working together. So given all these things, we have already worked through certain, I may not be able to quantify, but I can very confidently say that there will be synergy opportunities in terms of operational efficiencies that we have anticipated, and that will be known to you over a period of time. But it is not something that two organizations are coming together without knowing each other. I think that's a very big advantage for us, where we already know that there are areas where we can create significant synergies. I mean, in the SG&A, infrastructure, so on and so forth. And just to let you know that there is a lot of when you talk about, just to give you an example, when you talk about cities in which we are operating, there is a lot of alignment in terms of the presence, in terms of geos as well as the delivery centers. So that will definitely create significant opportunities for optimization.
Sure, sir. That's it from my side. Thanks and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Abhishek Bhandari from Nomura. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. So DC, I had two questions.
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Bhandari. Your voice is quite low.
Is it better now?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So DC, I had two questions. While you answered on cost, could you also explain, where the revenue synergies could come from, given that, most of the businesses are highly complementary. So, what kind of synergy they're talking on revenue? That's the first part. The second thing is, with scale, definitely there are advantages, but we also have, some missing parts in the puzzle, like, a BPS practice or a BPM practice. So do you think there would be a need to, either build it soon or acquire something, by the time the merger gets concluded?
Okay, so let me just talk about synergies. See, when you talk about synergies, first of all, as Sudhir highlighted, the good news is that given the set of clients we have, there is very minimal overlaps across clients, which means that there is a lot of opportunity in terms of cross-selling and upselling into each of these clients, leveraging the capabilities we have. Now, from a synergy standpoint, if you look at industries, there are certain industries where LTI is strong. There are certain industries where Mindtree is strong. Just to give you an example, BFSI is one of the strongholds for LTI. If you look at technology, CMT is a stronghold for Mindtree. Similarly, if you look at the capabilities in terms of service line, if you look at supply chain, covering SAP, Oracle, this is a very strong hold of LTI. Whereas if you look at customer success, covering areas like Salesforce, Mindtree has been doing a pretty good job. Now, going forward, we feel that synergies will come from the opportunity that presents is the ability to mine these accounts in which we are already present, plus of course going after new accounts. And what is required in the future, given the demand that we see, is most of the transformations right now are led by digital. And when you talk about digital transformation, it's the end-to-end capability that you require. And what we require right now, and what we require over the next 2 to 3 years, or even longer, is the end-to-end capability at scale. So with these two organizations coming together, we are not only able to cross-sell and upsell, but we are actually getting the capabilities end-to-end at scale. And we firmly believe that this will definitely result in terms of significant synergies as we go forward. And as I said earlier, it's not something that we don't know each other. We have been working on engagements in the past as well, and it has been working out fairly well, though we have been working very selectively on specific engagements. So we are very confident that coming together, we can derive even more synergies as we go along. I hope that it gives you some perspective.
Yes, DC. And what about the BPO part?
No, I just wanted to say if Sudhir would like to add from an LTI perspective how he...
Yeah, in fact, I think if we step back and look at the two companies, right, these are the best performing companies in the sector right now from a growth perspective. So growth itself brings a lot of opportunities, from an employee perspective. So that's just a point I wanted to cover. But just talking about synergies, the key thing is, if you see, as DC said, right, where LTI is strong, manufacturing, energy and utilities, BFSI, this which constitutes over 75% of our revenue, that is actually, very complementary to what Mindtree is, which has CMT, retail, CPG as their strongholds. So if, in fact, you couldn't find two companies with a lesser overlap, right? So therefore, we are perfectly suited to each other. Similarly, you look at service lines, again, there's a complementarity as DC highlighted. From a geography perspective, also there are complementarities. So the way I see it is, in fact, all the reason for, us getting together and being able to, be confident that we will not just be able to go at the pace that we are, but, leverage these synergies further is because of these multiple areas of complementarity, right? It's not unidimensional complementarity. It's in each and every dimension. And I think that is what's exciting about the future.
And I think there was another, thank you, Sudhir. And there was another question that you asked in terms of BPM. Just to let you know that there is, we have recently been launched the platform services within Mindtree. So it is not that we don't do BPM. We have launched those services, and we are definitely going to focus on it as we go forward.
Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, thanks, DC. DC, one last question, maybe to both of you or to the L&T group, representative. Sanjay's departure has been very sudden. So, what are the plans, LTI group has, to integrate the whole thing, because it will take 9 to 12 months. And do we have any backup CEO in place, or will the announcement come in sometime? And also, what went behind in choosing who between two of you would lead the combined entity?
So let me talk to you about LTI. So as you know, LTI has a strong leadership team. Since listing, we've actually been investing in building a very strong leadership team, especially over the last 6 years. And you know many of us. Nachiket is with me on this call today. And therefore, we are confident that there is enough leadership bandwidth today to stay the course to deliver the promises that we have made to our stakeholders. In fact, if anything, we will actually need to expand our leadership bandwidth as we've already told you in our earnings call earlier this month or earlier in April, that we are confident that we will have industry-leading growth in FY23 as well. So we are super focused on what we need to do from a FY23 perspective, and the leadership teams are completely aligned to that. So that's what we'll continue to do. That's what DC mentioned is going to be business as usual for us. Whilst we focus on that, there will be a steering committee that will also be formed that will focus on the synergies. So that's how do we move from today's performance from good to great. So that's really what we together will be working on.
And on the other question that you asked, I think you need to ask that question to somebody else. I don't know whether I'm in a position to answer that.
Yeah, so I think the board of LTI will meet soon, and they will decide on what are the next steps. Of course, the exact leaving date of Sanjay will be firmed up shortly, and you will get to know when we know.
Thank you to everyone, and all the best for the integration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to ensure that the management will be able to address questions from all participants, we would request you to limit your question to one at a time. Should you have a follow-up question, please rejoin the queue. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vibhor Singhal from Phillip Capital. Please go ahead.
Hi. Good evening, guys. Thanks for taking my question, and congrats on the merger process starting now. So DC, just one question, as the operator won't permit me more. So just wanted to basically understand, you mentioned in your opening remarks as the first point that this merger brings scale to us. Basically, this now becomes a $3.5 billion company. And so I just wanted to pick your brains on the fact that does this also enable us to bid for some of those large deals which we were not able to maybe bid for in terms of because of being smaller in size? Could we see similar kind of lift and shift deals that many of our larger peers tend to report? I mean, not that frequently, but every now and then. So does that open up that entire opportunity for us? And how well are the sales team, and maybe if Sudhir could answer that, how well the sales team of the two companies are prepared to basically approach these kind of deals together with a variety of offerings that we have?
Look, I could not get the second part of the question, but let me answer the first part and come back to the second. So, Vibhor, first of all, as far as large deals are concerned, both the companies have been chasing large deals and with fairly good success. But we can probably chase larger deals with the two organizations coming together. So that's one way to look at it. But other thing, the short answer is absolutely yes to what you said. We will be looking forward to participate in terms of larger deals. And please also remember that as individual entities, both LTI and Mindtree have been participating in significant number of deals where we are, participating. We are competing with the tier ones. So I think it gives us more strength to compete even more, fiercely with the tier one players. But the other thing which you also need to appreciate is that sometimes you can engineer some innovative deal structures, where which is something where you are limited unless you have a good scale and a very strong balance sheet. So from that perspective also, it gives us the avenue to structure some innovative deals. Innovative deal structuring could be another area where we can create multi-year deals which will be fairly large over a number of years. So I could not get the second part of your question. If you can just repeat that, or you got the
so second part of the question was actually exactly what you just mentioned, and probably if Sudhir can also probably chip into that. That these large deals many times require a lot of innovative ideas from us in stitching up those deals. So how well are the sales team of the two companies prepared right now to go together and pitch that to our clients?
So let me just say one point, and then I'll request Sudhir to comment, because as I said before, earlier in my commentary, that there are situations where the two teams have come together on a very selective basis wherever there is a large opportunity or a strategic opportunity. So we already know how to work with each other and combine the capabilities which are fairly complementary. And this has been going on in a selective basis, on a case-to-case basis. And that will continue. Sudhir, do you want to just add?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Venu is here with us on the call, and Venu and I have been in touch for over 2 years, working together on deals. We have a structure in place, a mechanism in place already. And as you said, this will propel us. Now we are knocking at 100,000 employees, plus, which you can imagine by the time, the merged entity is created. So that's the threshold which leads to those $100 million plus kind of deals. So that's really what we are aiming to do. And the mechanism exists. I think DC said this earlier. See, the two companies know each other well, and we have known, we've got the same parent, and we also have the support of the L&T group, which is very significant when it comes to us being able to structure some of these large deals, as DC talked about, brings in innovative deal structures as well. So if you look at from a group perspective, the knowledge of how well we already know each other, the working mechanisms in place, and the opportunity ahead in the market, I think we're well poised for large deals.
Got it. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for taking my questions, and wish you all the best.
Thank you. Reminder to the participants, please limit your question to one at a time. The next question is from the line of Mayur Patel from IIFL AMC. Please go ahead.
My questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Urmil Shah from Aegis Federal Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, and congrats DC for enhanced growth. My question is partly a bit repetitive. So if we see both the companies have done exceedingly well in their large verticals, CMT for Mindtree and BFSI for LTI. But BFSI, because of client-specific kind of reasons, has not been the best performer for Mindtree. So, what do you think needs to be changed for the combined entity for the largest vertical, that is BFSI, to continue to do well as it has been doing in the hands of LTI?
No, Urmil, if I understand your question, first of all, if you look at Mindtree's BFSI over the last 2-3 quarters, it has been on a very nice trajectory. So it is pretty much on the path of recovery. But to your other point in terms of what needs to be done, it's a little early to call out all these things. As I said, that there will be a steering committee which will help in terms of put together an integration plan. And at an appropriate time, as and when we are ready, we'll definitely come to know about it. But please remember that as of now, each one of us are chasing our own numbers, own growth agenda, and that will continue over the till the regulatory approvals come.
Yeah, DC. And just from an LTI perspective, BFS was like 39% year-on-year growth for us in FY23, and we've signed 2 large deals in Q4, which are BFS oriented. So we see significant growth opportunity in BFS. Insurance, which was perhaps compared to banking a little soft in terms of growth, actually also bounced back to growth. We had very strong growth in the Q4 quarter, and again well poised for growth in. So as a segment, I think both companies are well poised from a BFSI perspective for the next, till, as DC said, for the period that we come together, we'll work independently on those sectors.
Sure, Suri, that's what I was looking at. Combined entity, the largest vertical, will have to, do the growth for them. Yeah, thank you.
No, absolutely. In fact, okay, I won't belabor the point, but on banking, for example, we've got a strong Temenos practice that can be leveraged across Mindtree and LTI. And similarly, the strong practice, Salesforce practice that they have and the customer experience practice that Mindtree has can be leveraged for us, for all our banking clients. So actually the synergies from a service offering perspective are very unique and very significant.
Sure, thank you, and all the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Aniket Pandey from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity. I just have one question to DC and Sudhir both. As LTI gives PAT margin guidance of around 14 to 15%, and Mindtree has given EBITDA margin guidance of around 20%. So are these guidance intact post this merger for the respective companies? Thank you.
Yes. Absolutely.
I mean, as the two companies are going to work, BAU over the, till the entire merger process is complete, nothing changes from the individual, guidances that we have given and the individual aspirations that we have.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sulabh Govila from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats on the announcement of the deal. So my question is around the transition plan. I know you guys mentioned that there will be a steering committee which will be formed, but any color around how does this work in terms of, let's say, does it require any restructuring to execute the joint go-to-market strategy? And in that process also, how do we plan to address the risks associated in this transition, such as on the client relationships and in delivery organization?
Yeah, so I think Sudhir probably answered that, and I also gave some perspective. First of all, on the client side, the overlaps are very minimal. I think if there was a very significant client overlap, then obviously there would have been a different strategy. But in the normal BAU, when the process was, when the merger process is going on, when we wait for the regulatory approvals, nothing really changes from the way we are running our individual businesses as individual entities. But specifically on the people side, I would say that given the demand scenario that we see in terms of Mindtree as well as LTI, I think it's a question of can we really get the fulfillment and the supply engine working even more aggressively. So I think from an opportunity standpoint, we'll be creating more opportunities for people rather than the other way around. So as of now, at this point of time, even as the integration plan is getting developed, but I am very confident to say that I don't think there will be more additions rather than anything else. So do you want to add?
No, I think you've covered it, DC. Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up on this. Any color around restructuring that is required to do the joint go-to-market strategy?
No, it's a little too early to call out. But as I said, that as of now it's BAU, but over a period of time, we will see what is right for the organizations. But given the demand that we see in the market, I don't think at a very early stage to call out. I don't think it will be more adding more bandwidth rather than anything else.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Apurva Prasad from HDFC Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question and congratulations. Just had one question, a follow-up to that. So Mr. Naik did cite this in the press conference, but how is the customer feedback on this been? And the related part is, with prior experience in joint deals, how has that been? More so from a perspective of, whether it was size threshold that really led to that, or you saw some capability fit. So anything that you can highlight from prior joint deals that will be useful.
So Apurva, let me take a stab at it and then I'll request Sudhir to add. First of all, on the customer feedback, we announced this today, so the intimation has gone to the customers. So we have to just wait for a while to get the feedback. But our overall gut feel is that feedback will be positive because, as I said, the number of overlaps are fairly minimal. And both the LTI and the Mindtree brands are also getting protected in terms of the name that we have come out with. So we have kind of thought through the whole thing so that there is minimal customer impact in the whole process. And in terms of joint deals, as I said, there are normally two ways of looking at it. One way is there are specific cases. I obviously cannot call out too much of details, but there have been specific cases over the last 3 years where customers have come back and told one of us that, why don't you get your, the additional capabilities available with the other entities so that you can bid jointly. That's one thing. And in some of the RFP situations, we have decided proactively to go together to stand better chance. And I think our experience has been fairly good in both these scenarios. So do you want to add anything?
No, absolutely. I think, again, customers see the synergy. And of course, the other thing is they also know that, because we work well together. So it's not just that we're getting together for the sake of a deal. These are two companies that know each other well, and that the execution model is also seamless. So that's the only other part that I'll add to what this is.
Got it. And just on the people and HR front, plans to get cultural alignment. I know there is a steering committee happening, but any early thoughts?
No, I think, if you have, since you referred to Mr. Naik's comments, I think ultimately it's all part of the L&T umbrella, and we have been aligned to the overall L&T culture. And I don't think there is too much of misalignment in terms of the culture of the two organizations that we're talking about. So overall, I don't think there is anything that I'm concerned about in terms of integrating from a cultural standpoint.
Thanks, DC and Sudhir. All the best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Manik Taneja from JM Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are.
Yes. So DC and Sudhir, first of all, congratulations on the merger. And I just wanted to pick your brains on the fact that over the last few years, what we've heard from different industry stakeholders is that organizations of our current size are much more nimbler, have much sharper focus, and are quicker to react to customer demand, and that's why have outgrown the larger competition. Do you think we are essentially heading towards a demand environment where scale becomes much more relevant in terms of competitive positioning?
Yeah, I think, Manik, it's a combination of things. See, we've got a culture. In fact, I would say it is an L&T culture of speed and nimbleness, irrespective of the size that you operate at, because that's the DNA of the people in the organization. So that doesn't change just based on size. But what size does is brings new opportunities. We all know that Fortune 1000 players prefer to work with scale players, and that is benefit. The deal advisors also, when they shortlist, they want to shortlist, say, the top 5 companies. Now we are part of that top 5 list, so that also helps. So I think it's a combination of much more, much better opportunity. Remember, both these companies are growing 25% plus books. So I know that, you're all geared to focus on the risks, but see the opportunity when 2 strong performing companies get together. They actually create, the value proposition for all stakeholders becomes a lot more attractive. And that's really what we're focused on delivering together.
Sure. And if I can ask one more, do you think, given while you guys have been calling out that the demand environment is very strong, do you think there is any potential risk to seeing near-term impact on growth for us, given the fact that we will be focused much more internally in the next 6 to 9 months?
No, I don't think it's fair to say that we'll be focused only internally. I mean, that's the whole objective of creating a steering committee so that the entire leadership on both the sides can focus on the growth agenda which both the companies have identified and laid out over time. So I think our endeavor is to ensure that the growth agenda doesn't get impacted as we go along, and there will be carefully laid out integration plan as we go along, and thus there will be separate integration teams on both the sides. So I don't think there is anything that should derail from the overall growth agenda that the individual companies have.
Sure. Thank you and all the best for the merger.
Thanks, Manik.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sameer Dosani from ICICI Prudential Asset Management. Please go ahead.
Just one clarification. So from a regulatory standpoint, you have highlighted that 9 to 12 months is what you're looking at for the entire process. Operationally, what do you think would be the deadline or maybe timeline for starting integration, and what would be the timeline for where you guys jointly bid for contracts? Is my question. Thanks.
Yeah. So operationally, we cannot work together until the final regulatory clearances are done. But within the framework that the 2 companies already have in place, they can continue to work together on specific bidding opportunities and specific contracts.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Pankaj Kapoor from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks for the opportunity. I'm just curious to understand why do the transaction now? I mean, you mentioned you have been working very well together in exploring joint opportunities. Individually, both the companies have been growing very strongly. And as far as these 100 million deals are concerned, I mean, your larger peers have been, in fact, complaining that the deal sizes have moved down now to sub 50 million kind of a level. So I'm just trying to understand what triggered this transaction and why not, for example, wait for the demand environment to maybe cool off a bit before exploring something like this.
So Pankaj, I would rather like to think it in a slightly different way. First of all, yes, both the companies have a very good growth story and have been doing fairly well in our respective areas of strength. But if you look at the demand environment right now, we see that this demand environment is going to be led by digital, and especially post-pandemic, the acceleration to cloud, the acceleration to digital adoption has just increased manyfold. And our view is that should continue over the next several years. And what you need in terms of addressing that opportunity is to have the end-to-end capability at scale. So what we are doing in this process is we will be able to strengthen further the end-to-end capability that we have. And given the client base that we will have, it will be a fantastic opportunity for us to mine the accounts in terms of cross-selling and upselling, and even increase the wallet share in those individual accounts fairly aggressively. So our view is that this is probably this is a great opportunity for us to come together when the demand scenario is pretty robust. And if we can, ensure that we do the integration at the right time in the right way, this will be a tremendous amount of value that we can create as two organizations coming together.
Mr. Kapoor, we cannot hear you.
Am I audible?
Yes, now you're audible.
So, just what kind of a homework really went into this transaction in terms of, say, mapping out the overlaps, not just at the senior leadership level, but say at CEO minus 2-3 kind of levels. And for example, in terms of specific accounts, as you mentioned, that which you want to target for cross-sell, or even in terms of maybe areas of cost savings. Have we done some homework already on this as we went into exploring this transaction? Thank you.
Yeah, I think we have done two things. First of all, we have done definitely extensive study in terms of what we can potentially create in terms of synergies. And as I said earlier, we have been working together in specific opportunities. We have a framework in place, and given that we had fairly good success, we feel that this will only help us as we go forward. Now, the nitty-gritty of some of these details I may not be able to share right now, but that's where I think as the integration plan gets developed, as we get the regulatory approvals, we will be sharing all these things with you at an appropriate time.
Yeah.
Thank you and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line. Thank you. The next question is from the line of Debashish Mazumdar from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Good evening to the management team. Thank you very much for taking my question. Sir, I have two questions. One is, as you earlier mentioned, that you have spoken to the second level leadership. So what I understand that in case of LTI, a large part of second level leadership was created by Mr. Jalona. So just trying to understand that what is the kind of confidence that we are getting from that second level leadership that they will stay back with us?
Yeah. So Debashish, this is Sudhir. So, we've so the second level leadership, in fact, if you look at LTI, I've been in the LTI journey from $800 million to $2.1 billion. So this leadership team has expanded each and every year. So it wasn't just at a point in time. And this leadership team has frankly expanded not just in sales, but also significantly from a delivery perspective also, as we've added new capabilities. We've also made some acquisitions in this journey, 6 acquisitions in this journey, so we've added those capabilities as well. So if you actually see the breadth of leadership that exists in the organization is multifold actually, and grown over and has done over many years, with several stakeholders being involved in actually building these teams. So I think that is the best way to look at this, to see that the other aspect is, and DC touched upon this, so the extensive planning that's gone through. So as part of L&T, we do Lakshya planning. So we do a 5-year plan. And as part of a 5-year plan, we have a growth trajectory that both companies have. So you have to almost, look at this entity in terms of what we can accomplish in the next 3 to 5 years, and what's the structure and leadership needed today to accomplish over the next 3 to 5 years. And what you'll actually see is that we will need more leadership bandwidth going forward, as we have done in the last few years, and not less. So actually there is, I said this right at the beginning, the playing field for everybody gets bigger and much more exciting, and we will continue to add leadership over the years as we go ahead.
Okay, understood. So the only contention that I have that historically this kind of large deals normally create a lot of short-term disruption, especially because of the cultural differences. So that is what the contention that I was coming from. Anyways, we will see over a period of time. The second question that I have, if I may, currently we, as two individual companies, we are definitely having deals of 2 to 3 years. Once this integration happens after 6 to 9 months, how those deals will be restructured? Will we, in the name of LTI Mindtree, will we give client opportunity to move out? How do we address that?
I think it's again, this will be on a case-by-case basis. But as you can understand, when we have come this far, we have looked at all these aspects in terms of what is, because our objective is that we have to. This has to be the best for our various stakeholders, including our customers. So we definitely will ensure that to our level base that none of those deals get impacted in the new set of things. But again, it will still be a while, because at least for the next 7 to 9 months, we will definitely be operating as we are operating as individual listed entities. So the deals are pretty much going to be run the way they are.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my question.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Nitin Padmanabhan from Investech. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity.
Sorry to interrupt you, Nitin. May I request you to come on the handset mode? Your audio is not very clear.
Yeah, is it better now?
There's a slight echo. If you can come closer to the phone. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm using a Jabber, so there could be an issue, but...
Go ahead.
Yeah. Just wanted your thoughts on, from your perspective, when you see what's in store over the next 1 year, what are the top priorities in terms of what you would look to solve before you create a combined entity? I understand a lot of us have asked you about risks that we perceive, but from your perspective, what are the top priorities that you would see in terms of mitigation? So that was the first one. The second is, I'm sure at this point in time, you'll have a lot of competition trying to reach out to customers and trying to suggest that there will be a merger and there are going to be issues, so why don't you work with us? In that context, just wanted your thoughts in terms of your interactions with customers, or if you're yet to do that, and whether existing deals in the pipeline or any conversations that you've had that sort of indicate anything on either side. Just wanted the broad thoughts on both of you.
No, Nitin, great questions. Let me address, and then I'll request Sudhir to add additional color. See, first of all, we have very carefully crafted the client messaging also, which has all gone out right now. So the customers are aware of what is going on. They understand that this process will take time, and we'll be continuing to stay very close to our clients the way we always do. Both the organizations are extremely client-centric, and that's something which we will continue to do till the regulatory approvals come through. But to your point in terms of what is the priority is to ensure that the BU does not get disrupted. I think there are specific goals that both the organizations have. There is a very ambitious growth plan that we have laid out. There is a growth culture in both the organizations, and that will definitely continue. In fact, now it is even better because people know that they're going to be part of a larger organization over a period of time. So that's going to be the topmost priority. And I can also say that the other priority is to make sure that the steering committee reviews the integration plan, the challenges, and the risks very closely as we go along. But that's something which will evolve as time progresses. So do you want anything?
Yeah. I think just the only thing that I, from a client perspective, see, all our clients know that we both are part of the L&T group, that, the L&T group has been the majority shareholder. And in most of our, all our top clients actually know the L&T leadership as well. So I actually think that if anything, this is, I keep going back to saying the same thing, right? It is two companies that know each other very well that are now getting together, through a formal merger process. So I think the fact that clients have actually, a lot of comfort because of the nature of their dealings with us over the years, and the fact that we are part of the same group and have been operating, for the last 3 years as part of that. So that risk, obviously, as we communicate, we will manage that much more actively. But we actually see, we'll see it as a positive, as DC said. That's, what we foresee from what we have done thus far in terms of our interactions.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you had mentioned a couple of instances where the customer actually reached out to both of you to come together. Just wanted your thoughts in terms of in those instances, were there instances that required scale, or were there instances that required, for instance, Mindtree strength in Salesforce and maybe LTI strength elsewhere as a combined unit? In all the instances that you have seen, was it scale or was it the complementary services that sort of stood out?
It's the end-to-end capability that the customers wanted, which could lead to scale.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much and all the very best.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Arvind Kumar Shetty from Max Life Insurance. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thanks for taking the question. So given that with this integration, we are expecting synergies to come in, and we also expect to deliver industry-leading growth. The combined entity, not in near term, but say 2 to 3 years down the line, can the margins of the combined entity be comparable to some of the larger peers? Or maybe put it otherwise, would the EBITDA margins be higher than either of these entities individually?
I think the short answer is it will be our endeavor to expand the margin subsequently, because we expect synergies both on the revenue side as well as the cost side from an operational efficiency standpoint. So that will be the endeavor.
Sure. And one more question. So in terms of risks when we do the integration, what would be at the top of the list for you?
No, I just answered that question. I think the most important thing is to make sure that we, as independent listed entities, continue to focus on our BAU, because both have got various aspirations and ambitions for growth. Both the companies are doing extremely well from a profitable growth standpoint. And second thing, it will be also important to clearly articulate the integration challenges and focus on the integration plan as we get the regulatory approval process in progress.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was the last question for today. I now hand the conference over to Mr. K. Mahesh for closing comments.
Thank you very much, DC, Sudhir. Thank you to all the other executive directors and the CFOs of the respective companies who have joined us here today. We'll now conclude this call. On behalf of LTI, Mindtree and the L&T Group, we thank all the participants for taking time out to join the call. We wish you all a very good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude today's conference call. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.